Hey, welcome back to the Grand Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, two things have happened in the world of trans politics, apparently. Because apparently being trans is 100% political all the time. Now, the things that have happened took place in Tennessee and with a bill that passed in Montana. Now, these are states you would expect to hate trans people because they're no more than just more fascist Republican ran states. This is something you would expect. But let's start with the easier of the two, the one that I can give you a reasoning behind, and that's Tennessee. In Tennessee, they just basically banned all gender affirming care for even adults to be covered through insurance in the state. For example, they have what they call an MCO, which is I guess, a acronym for basically managed care, right? For the people that cover their Medicaid. Like Texas, for example, they've got Cigna and a few others that come in and they do insurance for those people that are low income that are on Medicaid. Instead of having the state handle it and doing everything, a private company takes care of it, and the state just pays the private company to take care of the situation, which has led to a lot of problems. But I digress. In Tennessee, what they have done, they just passed a bill stating that if you do business with the state of Tennessee, if you do business with them as part of their MCO program, then you cannot provide transitional care to to transgender even adults, to transgender people within the state of Tennessee. From what I understand, there are multiple companies that work within the state. Some of them are pretty big companies, and if they work with the MCO, then they can't provide funding for gender affirming care, even for adults. Now, you may wonder, where's this coming from, right? What allows them to do this? I mean, after all, it's federal funds that pay for Medicaid, at least in part. Well, what it is back in June of 2020, Donald Trump made it to where where there was states were allowed to discriminate against LGBTQ people, especially trans people, in terms of care. Therefore, the states just following in, you know, their leaders' um, idea of banning care for transgender people. Now, Tennessee didn't want to come right out and say, oh, we're going to ban the practice entirely. We're just going to make sure that you can't do what you need to do within the state of Tennessee. Regardless if you're on Medicaid or if you're on, say, Blue Cross, say if Blue Cross Blue Shield is one of those companies that happens to work with the state MCO, then if you're on Blue Cross Blue Shield, you can no longer get your hormones. You can no longer get your treatments of any kind. You can no longer go to a psychiatrist or a counselor to deal with your gender dysphoria unless you pay for it out of pocket. At least that is how it has come across. That is what I have read. And that's what I have seen out of this bill. If I'm wrong, let me know. But everything I have read says that not only if you're on Medicaid, you can't get help, you can't get transgender care or gender affirming care. And even if you're not on Medicaid, if you have regular insurance in the state, and that company happens to work with the state MCO, then you are banned from getting help through your insurance company. Now, some people would say, oh, well, just switch your insurance company. That's not always easy or affordable. Sometimes there's only a few that offer rates, offer coverage in your state for whatever reason. But this is how it works, right? You don't get access to every single healthcare company that's in America in your state. It's not always useful because sometimes they're not in the network that your state's not happen doesn't happen to be in the network that this particular organization works with, right? Therefore, there are a lot of people that are going to be without trans affirming care or gender affirming care for themselves or other people in their family because insurance is no longer going to be allowed to cover it by state law. And this is what I've been trying to tell people, this is coming. Okay, I've been telling people this, that this is coming for a long time, and no one believed me. Everyone told me I was just being alarmist, that they would never go after the insurance companies, that they would never really ban gender affirming care. And the Republicans will tell you right now, oh, we're not banning a gender affirming care. We're just making sure that companies that work with the state don't provide gender affirming care, even if you have private insurance. I can understand a state making the argument that Medicaid should not be used for for transgender people to have gender affirming care, like surgeries and hormones. I can understand that state-based programs. If a state doesn't want to cover hormones or whatnot, that's up to them. But to ban private companies that work within the state from doing the same thing just because they're one of the ones that provide coverage through your MCO, that's not right. That is absolutely wrong. If you want to ban your state Medicaid from providing these this help, right? If you want to ban your state Medicaid, then fine. I'll write you off as just another red state that's run by fascists that don't care about the people within the state. But now you're not doing that. Tennessee, you are going after everybody now. I completely understand if a state doesn't want to cover, hormones, puberty blockers, for minors, or surgeries for adults. If you don't want to cover that on your state Medicaid, that's fine. That I understand that, right? Like I was completely against um, Chelsea Manning, who was before was dealing with military stuff. She was in prison for selling military secrets. Before she transitioned, I didn't support her surgeries being covered by the American taxpayer because she was a criminal. Not because she was poor or anything else, but because she was a criminal. But now you want to tell me that, oh, even people that are following all the rules that all these Republicans are pushing out, they're setting these rules like, oh, you have to be this old before you can have any kind of care at all. And now you got a state saying, hey, you can do everything by the book, but you still can't afford it because your insurance is no longer allowed to cover. I feel like we're living in Russia or something, or some other terrible place with terrible leaders that hate the LGBTQ community, that hate other people, that run fascist regimes. I I thought that we were better than this. I thought America was better than this, and I was wrong. I've been warning people that these conservatives are going to want to do this stuff. And I hoped, beyond hope, I was wrong. I hoped that the people that were calling me an alarmist were right. But I'm not. I wasn't wrong. And here they are. Here they are going after people that need help, that need this care. How are you supposed to get gender affirming care when your own private insurance isn't allowed by state law to cover it? Now, something else took place in Montana where they just recently passed a bill in their state legislature. I do not know if it was signed by their governor as of yet, but there was a bill being passed that was passed by the Montana legislature allowing for the bullying of transgender people in schools. In an age where we're trying to limit or even bring it to an end bullying, which is an entirely different video in general, but there's nothing we can do to really end bullying. All we can do is, get more people to stop and give the kids the proper channels to deal with it, and how to mentally handle it when it happens. But it should not be egged on or even suggested by the state government or any government that bullying of a certain group of people is okay. But the state of Montana has told school kids, hey, if you see a trans person, make fun of them. Hey, if you see a trans person, bully them. Even had a guy that stood up and said, well, if you get tripped in school, that's just school. That's just life. Because the problem with the bill is the fact that they were initially discussing, hey, you shouldn't have to call people by their new name or their new pronouns and things like that. But then he made it clear that he didn't just mean um, you know, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and verbal abuse. He meant physical abuse. And if you've watched this channel, you know you know, how much I hate bullying, regardless of if you're transgender or not. Bullying is a sign of problems at home. The people that are doing the bullying obviously have problems that aren't being properly dealt with. Because people don't just naturally have that problem of hating people. But here you have a state that's sitting there suggesting bullying of a specific group of people. How is that okay? How in any world is that okay? It's not. Yet people don't care. People like the Republicans in Montana and every other Republican state legislature, they don't care. They say they care about kids, but they don't. If they cared about kids, they'd want to help curtail bullying, not promote it. So, I mean, we can do anything. I guess these states can do whatever they want, I guess, because they're run by fascist, dictators that think they're more important than the rest of the country, that think they know more than doctors when they know nothing. But if you happen to be the parent of a trans kid, All I can tell you is don't be their first bully. If you have a trans kid, love them, support them, and take on laws like this one in Montana that support bullying of children. Now, both these bills will probably end up in the courts, whether whether they get into action or not. They'll be tied up in the courts, I'm sure, because in Tennessee, there's no excuse for private insurance that wants to cover gender affirming care. There's no reason they should be able to be banned from doing so, just because they work with the state MCO. And in Montana, I don't think this is going to fly. I believe I don't even believe the courts in Montana will uphold this bill. But I'm to the point with transgender topics. I'm getting to the point that I can't do it. I'm so tired of seeing these bills passed time and again, hurting people. They're literally trying to punish us for being who we are. Now, the fact is, I will be right back here next week with more videos, doing what I can to get the word out. But there are times I don't feel like I can. There are times I don't feel like I can continue doing these videos because no one's listening. My listeners, the people that actually watch my videos, they're listening. But no one seems to care outside of that. It doesn't seem to matter to these Republicans who they meet, who they talk to. I feel like I'm just talking until I'm blue in the face. And I know there are a lot of other, trans rights activists out there that are going through the same thing. They feel dismay. They feel like they just can't go on. It's too much. But just like them, I will continue. And the rest of us out here that are fighting for trans rights in the best, and even in the littlest ways we can. I'm not physically able to be out there and do much, but I can sit here and I can be a voice for those of us that need a voice. Because at the end of the day, people can say whatever they want about me. If people want to hate me, that's fine. I don't care. But I'd be damned if you're going to sit there and bully children because they're transgender or prevent people from getting the care they need. I don't give a damn who these legislators think they are. I have some other videos on the topic lined up. They'll probably start next week because I think I'm going to take this week off because I've been having some computer issues and the stuff going on has just been too much. But anyways, if I don't post again this week, I'll see you next week. There could be another video up on Friday. We will see on what's going on for me, how I'm doing, if I'm able to continue doing this week, or if I'm just take a break until next week. But we'll see. I do have a video that I may go ahead and record this afternoon to have put up for Friday. It's a different topic. Has to do with Marjorie Taylor Greene and calling for a national divorce and discussions of that. So maybe that'll be Friday's video. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, I'll talk to you later. Y'all have a great day. And if I don't see you until next week, have a great weekend.